Welcome to InSight. I'm Wendy Brokaw.
And I'm Ross Sutherland.
And we're talking about election security a year in advance of the elections. Oh my gosh, it's a big topic. And since October is National Cybersecurity Awareness Month,
Didn't know that.
I thought this would be a great time to talk about election security. Would you please welcome with us today in studio the head of Oregon's elections, Steve Trout. How do you do?
Thanks for having me, and it's great to have an opportunity to talk about the great things we're doing to secure our elections here in Oregon.
Okay, so that's what we have to ask. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to ask, yes.
We're jumping all over ourselves.
We do voting by mail, so we don't have some of the the computer issues that other states do, but there are issues.
No, there's definitely issues, but obviously vote by mail really simplifies it for us.
Okay.
As a vote by mail state, we tally ballots in each of the 36 counties. So a lot of my peers, they have to secure hundreds, sometimes thousands of sites where their polling places are.
Okay.
In Oregon, we only have to secure 38 places, each of the 36 county election offices. And then I've got my site here in Salem, and then we've got a backup site elsewhere. And so that really simplifies it as far as the actual voting machines. All of the voting machines are kept locked up. None of them are connected to the internet, and so that's a big feature that we have, because in order to for cyber criminals to attack them, they've got to be able to get access. And so if you can't get access because they're connected to the internet, then the only way you're going to get access is to physically have access to those machines.
Right.
And so our counties do a great job of keeping those machines locked up. We've got security cameras in each one of the counties that are on 24/7, so it makes it really difficult for people to get access to get in and tamper with those machines undetected.
Well, and you also are looking at what's happening in other parts of the country and learning and working.
And there was a cyber attack in 2016.
Right. Well, and in 2016, I think that was really the wake-up call in elections. And we know that the Russian government tried to penetrate state election offices. Oregon was one of those that was targeted. We stopped their attack. They didn't get anything in Oregon, but in one state they were able to get in and get into the voter registration information. Didn't change any votes, but they were able to get in and gain access to the voter registration files. And so, that was really a wake-up call for all of us. And so, when I look back to where we were in 2016 to where we are now, I mean, before we really didn't have cyber professionals working to protect our systems, and now we've been able to do that.
Well, this is a multi-agency effort, and you even did a training exercise recently.
We did, and I think that's one of the real benefits that's come from what happened in 2016. Prior to that, I really didn't have any interaction with Homeland Security or even know who to call if something like this did happen. But we've had a great partnership the last couple of years, and it's really unified, having the federal government work with the state government and the county governments. And so at our county clerk's annual conference back in August, all 36 counties come, and so we got Homeland Security there with us, and went through and did a 4-hour exercise of different scenarios of things that could happen and how we could best prepare for that.
Ooh, give us an example.
So what happens if the power goes out and our website goes down? Or worse yet, that misinformation shows up about ballot drop boxes, or election night results, that site gets hacked and the numbers all either aren't there or they're wrong. And so we went through and talked through, how we would respond to those scenarios. The good news is that none of those things are fatal to the integrity of the election, because those are just unofficial results and things that we're putting forward. Ultimately, we've got paper ballots. Paper can't be hacked. We can always go back and put Humpty Dumpty back together again.
Yeah, right.
But at the same time, we know that the public their confidence is shaken when something like that happens.
Sure.
And so we're doing our best to make sure that those things can't happen, but also anticipating, well, what if the worst case scenario happens? What would we do, and how would we be able to put things back together quickly? And so it was a great exercise. We worked with county election officials. Many of them had their IT directors there, and again with Homeland Security and putting together this exercise. And it was nice because we've had some national exercises, but this one was, we crafted it and made it specific to our vote by mail system.
Well, and that's so important because you can see in other countries where they question the validity of the ballot, and there's riots and there's all kinds of things going on, and you don't think about that, but it's pretty important to make sure that the information that people get about the elections is accurate. And
Right.
And that's brings me to the point that I wanted to bring up about, is there a bigger threat than cybersecurity?
Absolutely. I think the biggest threat to our elections right now is misinformation. And that was really the attack in 2016. There was a lot of misinformation out there about election processes, about candidates, and we see that already. And that just continues to spread. And so,
give us some examples. What are some of the misinformation?
there was things online saying that if you don't vote for every contest on the ballot, that your vote isn't counted. That's just flat out wrong. And then there's some that are not as devious. Last year in San Diego County, I believe, you needed 2 stamps to return your ballot because it was big. And so that started circulating on social media in Oregon, and so we got a lot of calls. It's like, do I need to put 2 stamps on this or only 1? And so, the world is a small place with the internet.
Yes.
And so I just think we need to do a better job of trying to, find out what the real issues are, what the rules are for where I live, and maybe challenge some information that you see online now, and say, hey, is that right? And so we're really going to push here in 2020 to be the trusted source. We want people to come to OregonVotes.gov for real information.
Yeah.
OregonVotes.gov. We should have you back to talk about this whole business of misinformation, how people can kind of get educated on that so they aren't fooled.
I would really appreciate that, because I think that's, as we go into 2020, that's my biggest fear, and we're really trying to do a better job of trying to be proactive and educate voters, help them to understand what's real and what's not. And the more programs I can be on like this to help voters know what's going on, the better. So I'd be happy to come back.
And I think your point about going to your website as opposed to listening to stuff on Facebook and Instagram and somebody sends you third party is really important. So
because
people are getting good information.
You have the tools of multiple agencies from the federal and state down onto the county level, making sure that the information is gold.
Right. Well, and usually in my experience, if I can get someone to understand what we do, either to come and watch the process or some different videos that we've put up and prepared for the elections, then they leave as having a better understanding, and they can go forward and be advocates and put down some of the misinformation that's out there themselves.
And it's all nonpartisan.
Right. And obviously I can't see everybody's posts and what they're doing on different social medias. I don't have time to do any of that. But, but again, that is an important piece as we go into 2020, is that misinformation out there. And really more important than that, I think, what information can you trust? And so we want to be that trusted info.
That's great.
Give us the website again where people can bone up on this.
OregonVotes.gov. And then if you want to talk specifically about security, OregonVotes.gov/security.
Steve Trout, head of the Oregon Department of Elections, and you've been a wonderful guest before. Got to have you back.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today on InSight. I'm Wendy Brokaw.
And I'm Ross Sutherland.
We'll see you next time. And don't forget, register to vote and then vote.
Good job.